Hi everyone, my name is Melike Düzenli. Today we will analyze chapter 11 together. And if you are ready, let's start. Our topic is inductive reasoning. We will analyze this topic in various ways. The first title of this topic is Introduction to Induction. This is our first title. Let's start. An inductive argument is one in which the premises are intended to provide support but no conclusive evidence for the conclusion. Because indicative arguments don't guarantee that their conclusions are true, we evaluate them according to the strength of support they provide for their conclusion. An inductive argument is strong when its premises provide evidence. That, yes, as I said before, they provide an indicative argument is strong when its premises provide evidence that its conclusion is more likely true than false. And inductive argument is weak when its premises don't provide, when its premises don't provide evidence. That this conclusion is more likely true than false. As we shall see, arguments have varying degrees of strength and weakness. Now let's look at second title. This is inductive generalization. Inductive generalization. A generalization is a statement made about all or most members of group. Okay. Made about all members of a group. Inductive generalization is one of the most important kind of inductive arguments. And an inductive generalization is an argument that relies on characteristics of a sample population and to make a claim about the population as a whole. In other words, it's an argument that uses evidence about a limited number of people or things a certain type. The sample population The sample population to make a claim about a larger group of people or things of the type, the population as a whole. Let's consider an example. I will write an example for you. All the bats hung has come in the Sena River have been less than 1 pound. And so most of the pass in river weigh less than 1 pound. Weigh less than 1 pound. This is a great example for inductive generalization. And an inductive generalization shouldn't overstate their conclusions. Let me give an example to you. No rabbit alone has come across, has tried to attack him, and so most rabbits are inclined to attack human beings. This is a great example for you. Let's look at our third topic is evaluating inductive generalization. Although there are standard tests for determining whether a deductive argument is valid or invalid, there is no standard test for determining whether an inductive argument is strong or weak. Strong or weak. We can determine that. Still, we are not totally lost when it comes to evaluating inductive generalizations. There are three questions we must ask of each inductive generalization we examine. What are these questions? The first one is, are the premises true? The second premise is the sample large enough? And the third one is the sample representative? Representative. These are three questions we need to ask. Let's analyze the first one. Are the premises true? An exact argument that is valid has two premises leading to a true conclusion is called a sound argument. Okay, sound argument. A cogent argument with a cogent. Let me write correctly. Cogent argument. Cogent argument has all true premises and supplies strong support for its conclusion. One or more false premises makes an inductive argument uncogent. Okay, uncogent. Again, I will say it. One of the more false premises makes an inductive argument uncogent, even if its argumentation is support for the conclusion is strong. Now, let's look at one example. Mass seal of Fortune 500 companies are and so the CEOs most big business probably woman. This is a great example for our premises too. Let's continue with, is the sample large enough? Let me clean my board. Yes, let's look at it. Is the sample large enough? Common sense prompts us to ask that always question about an inductive generalization. The size of the sample population must be sufficient to justify the conclusion about the population as a whole. A sample is large enough when it's clear that we have no right to judgment that we haven't formed a hasty generalization. Yes, we haven't formed a hasty generalization. Let's look at is the sample representative. An indicator generalization is weak if the sample population it draws on is enough like the population as a whole about which makes its claims. Okay. In technical terms, you want the sample population to be representative. A representative sample is like the population as a whole in all relevant ways. It should be a minor version of the population as a whole. Let's look at the fourth topic. This is opinion false and inductive generalization. Okay, let's look at it. Opinion polls are excellent source of inductive generalizations. The aim of a poll is to determine what a large population thinks or believes about a certain issue. To make that determination, it's not necessary to ask every member of that population. Rather, the preferred method is to ask a question of a sample of the population that is both large enough and representative of population as a whole. Let's look at the other topic. So, let me write it correctly, sorry. A statistical argument argues from premises regarding a percentage of the population to a conclusion about an individual member of the population or some part of population. Let's look at the other topic. Reference curves. The reference class is the group to which statistics apply. Is the group to which statistics apply. As a whole, the more specific the reference class is, the better the argument is. And in changing the reference class from college students to college students who like writing essay, we found that the conclusion about prior changed. Adding new information to an inductive argument can change its strength. In this case, changing reference class is called for different conclusion. For example, we have an example here. 50, 55% of vaccine students voted for Watkins as teacher of the year. And Alien is a Oxford student. And so Alien probably voted for Watkins. This is a great example for reference class. Let's look at other one. Induction and analogy. Here, firstly, what is an analogy? Firstly, let's learn it. Understanding analogies and arguments that use analogies is essential to critical thinking. Analogies are not just a stop or nightmares and entrance exams. An analogy is a comparison of teeth based on similarities. Those things share. Analogies then depend on what is similar or the same in two or more cases. Analogies are everywhere, for example, on exams or in newspaper or in poems. We can use analogy everywhere. Okay, how can we argue by analogy? An argument from analogy depends on analogy or similarity between two or more things. Analogies compare two or more things. These arguments from analogy go one step further. They often claim that another similarity exists given the similarity already recognized. Whereas an analogy simply points out the similarity. An argument from analogy claims that certain similarities are evidence that there is another similarity. Let's look at evaluating arguments from analogy. And critical thinking involves more than just recognizing arguments from analogy. It also involves evaluating those arguments, okay? And there are good and bad analogies. And there are are good and bad arguments from analogy. Let's look at the arguing by analogy. Let me change my word language. Let's examine this topic. A strong argument from analogy can be very effective, and people like comparisons particularly when the comparison relates something difficult or foreign to something they consider easy or familiar. And still, not every position can be defended by an argument from analogy. Offering a weak argument from analogy will do more harm than good. Now let's look at the induction and causal arguments. And human are curious life form. Our very nature drives us to search for knowledge. One of the most basic, most common, and most important kinds of knowledge we seek in knowledge of cause and effect. Yes. Why flinch my alarm clock go off when it was supposed to? Or why is no hot water left for my shower? Or we tend to look for casual connections when we are surprised by what occurs. Now let's look at our last topic here. This is a few words about probability. Again, we change my word makers. They are not writing properly, unfortunately. Anyway, let's continue. All indicative arguments are a matter of probability because they are not certain. They do not guarantee the truth of their conclusions, but only offer evidence that the conclusion is probably true. And we need to clarify what we mean by probability. And because there are several different senses of the word. Consider that one example. For example, there is a pretty high probability. There is a pretty high probability that I will go to the beach sometime this summer. That I will go to the beach sometime this summer. As you see in this example, and there is a pretty high probability that I will go to the beach sometime this summer. Illustrates epistemic probability, okay? Epistemic probability. And what is an epistemic probability? Expresses how likely we think an event is given other things we believe. This is epistemic probability. Today we learn lots of the things about inductive reasoning. I hope they will be helpful for your education. It was the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening to me.